the Chinese Type 56 SKS. Stay tuned. We'll go over a few of its features, and I'll try to tell you guys why I actually prefer this rifle over an AK-47. The SKS, a wonderful rifle that is a use across this world until this day. Originally designed late World War II by the Soviets to replace the Mosin Nagant. This would have came in really handy if they would have got this in time before the end of the war to use. I believe it would have made a big difference on the Soviet side if they could have even produced enough at that time. But there's actually German documentation of them capturing a few cases of prototype rifles of the SKS variant, of course the Russian variant. This is the Chinese Norinco Type 56. Just a rugged, reliable, simple, well-made, very precise 7.62 by 39 rifle. When you get off the range and start to use it, especially here in the eastern woodlands, you could start to see why it was so favored by when we first came up against it in the Vietnam War. Some was used in the Korean War, I believe, but very small amounts. And when you start slinking around through here, you could see why it was liked so much, especially by local militia, like guerrilla-style forces. Gives you high mobility. You can do long precision range attacks through rice paddies, like say in Vietnam, where we really, like I said, the first time we came up against this rifle. Precision attacks, very lightweight, nice and slimline. So again, so when you're either marching in a small group, guerrilla group, going through the woods or through the jungle, it's nice and slimline, so not too much is going to get snagged on the branches, vines, weeds, whatever you want to name it. And it's very, like I said, it's very precise, and I prefer this to the AK in this style of environment. Even though most engagements would be up close in ambush style or being ambushed, you know, a rifle like this starts to lose its edge a little bit. But what gives it its edge is you can raise your head instead of pushing your cheek down to get lined up behind the rear sight to the front. You can kind of raise it and keep your chin on the cheek weld here and use this front sight like a ghost sight, and it works out very well for close range. See if I can get you guys a shot of it. Now normally you'd be looking through your rifle like this to get your long range precision shots. Up close you can kind of raise your head up over and use that front sight post like a ghost ring, and it works out really well from my testing earlier. Yeah, just very well liked by those styles. It was called the rifle for the People's War, meaning small militias, small guerrilla units favored these rifles because of that reason. They were easy to hide if you're hiding from a force invading force that's coming to search your village. This can basically hide behind a 2x4, you know, no problems. Pull out one board in your wall, stack it in there, you know, do it, and it did have a very high chance of getting past whoever was searching your village. I believe that is one reason why it was favored so much. Again, it's lightweight, holds 10, actually this holds 11 rounds, but when you chamber it, you then have 1 in the chamber and 10 in your magazine. Perfect amount of rounds to do a little bit of damage with and skirt away like many guerrilla forces use, and how they implement this rifle. And along with the Vietnam came tunnel rats. A lot of tunnels were used, very smart to get away from bombardments from the air and from other soldiers just walking along through trails. They can ambush, run away, get into their tunnels and disappear, be like ghosts. And this rifle lets you have that capability because it's so slimlined. You could throw it over your shoulder or low crawl through the jungle if you need to, and everything is nice and slim without too many snag points. And that matters a lot when you're fighting that way. So I could see why they used it for so many years, and it's still in use today. You know, just about every conflict since it's been made, it's been involved in one way or another. You name it: Somalia, Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, Even up today in the Ukraine, I've seen a few SKSs still when they're fighting Russian Federation forces. Very handy rifle, made very well. Everything is milled, no stamped materials. The only few stampings that I've found so far is the magazine, this release for your piston here, and the release for the back receiver plate cover here. And that's about it. Maybe your sling swivels, the trigger's milled, your top cover's milled, your receiver's milled, your barrels, you know, your bolts milled, everything's milled. Very nice quality for what it is. And in those jungle environments, you're also might come across times when you have to get close hand-to-hand combat, and to have a bayonet on the rifle without having to fumble around on your vest, it's right there when you need it, is very handy for those type of situations. Now, modern day war, not so much are bayonets needed. They have been used in our current wars, but they're not as needed as they were then, fighting in that tight jungle environment where you're walking through the jungle, thick jungle forest, and you might get into engagement 20 yards away from you, not even seeing the guy until you're, you know, face to face with him. And being that it only holds 10 rounds compared to the 20-30 of the AK or the M16, that's also another reason why it was needed. So the SKS is a very easy top feed style rifle to load. It does have bolt hold open on empty magazine. Easy to just, you can almost get a handful of AK rounds and just dump them in there, push them in, and it feeds pretty nicely, as you can see. If I wouldn't fumble around and drop them, that's another story. But the top feed's very easy. Doesn't take a lot of hand or thumb strength, and there's not too many sharp edges to get caught up on while you're doing it. It's also designed to be fed with a 10-round stripper clip. That'd probably be definitely the quickest way to feed this rifle. I don't have any stripper clips yet, but I'm going to get some to see how quick that goes. My feeling is it's going to be in, push down, throw out, release, pretty easy. You could also get some AK style magazines with the duckbill attachment on them, and they will feed the magazine from the top and click in. So there it is, guys, the Chinese Type 56 SKS. I really love this style rifle. It come in handy, especially for its intended use. And some, like I said earlier in the video, in some cases I even prefer it over the AK-47. There's a lot of them out there. You can get them relatively cheap if you're okay with cleaning cosmoline off of a rifle. Other than that, though, even if you get one with an empty stock, there's tons of stock variations out there. If you want to convert it to hold AK-47 mags, you can. Folding stock, pistol grip, you name it, it's out there, and it could do it. So if you ever run into these, ask to shoot one, and go ahead and take it out and extend the range and see if you like it more than the AK-47. In my opinion, it shines in that area, especially longer range precision work. But it could also do CQB work with that front sight working like a ghost ring if you need it to. Thanks for watching. Any comments, questions, go ahead and leave them below. I usually answer pretty quickly.